As always, y'all, feel free to drop any questions that you have in the chat and we'll kind of be moving through. And Megan, if there's anything that you're like, I just have to pause and answer this question, like, well, we can definitely do that too. But yeah, Megan, would you start us off with a little bit of an intro and background on you?
Yeah, so I work at the University of Tennessee in Chattanooga, and I'm the career coordinator there in the College of Business. So I help students get jobs, internships, and I do the career events. And I also recently in January launched a startup. Hold on one second. My son is getting Sawyer, go down right now. I'm sorry, y'all. I recently launched a startup and it's called Sensory Bridges, and it's geared towards neurodivergent individuals that want a tool to help them regulate their voice volume. And this came about very organically. I saw this need last year, and over Thanksgiving of last year, I got online to order a tool just like this to help a child in my life that was really struggling and was having a lot. It was like negatively impacting him. And he was just being corrected a lot by adults. And it was just really sad to see how it was affecting him. So I went online to order a device that would alert him when his voice volume was too high. And they just didn't exist. So working at UTC, I was eligible for a grant that if you could build something that would help people and commercialize it, they had awards funds for you. And I applied for that in January. I received it. So currently I've just kind of gone from 0 to 100 with no engineering background, no business background, no startup. And it's just really been such a journey. And I've just kind of am learning as I go. It's been scary, but exciting and very risky, but I've just loved every minute of it, honestly. So
That's amazing, Megan. And I love your mission behind and your why and how you sort of tie that into your son. I guess I'm curious if you could tell us a little bit more about like where you see this product fitting in, why you feel it needs to exist. I've demoed the product and I have to say, like, I loved, first of all, like the design, but also the use case is so amazing for us neurodivergent folks. So yeah.
yeah, so basically, I don't have it with me, but it's a wearable wristband that detects voice volume and then it vibrates when it reaches a custom threshold, and you get to set the decibel level. And so initially it was geared towards children because I learned there's a trait called atypical prosody, and it's where basically a person is just unaware of their voice volume, whether it's too low or too high. And that's just kind of the wiring of the brain. And it shows up in neurodivergent individuals. And I'm neurodivergent myself. And my son tells me all the time, you need a Brooks band. And it's named the Brooks band because of the child who inspired it. His name was Brooks. But initially, that was kind of like my market. But then as I started talking to more people, learning more about everything, I saw there was a big need. When the voice is too low, so not just being like too loud, but too soft, as well as like the deaf and hard of hearing community. And now I'm just learning about like dementia, because when you have dementia, it kind of affects the part of your brain that lets you know like your voice volume. And there's a lot of frustration between the person and the caregivers and not being able to effectively communicate. So I've just learned about that. So what we've done, or what we're doing starting January, we're actually going to make it not just be a wristband, but it's also like a clip-on microphones close to your collar or something, just something discreet, and they'll maybe look like a button. But therefore, if you're talking too softly, it'll like you can choose the output. Do you want it to be vibrate? Do you want it to vibrate? Do you want like a little red light, green light kind of indicator light? Is there another way, you want to be notified? So we're kind of shifting the kind of the product to meet the need, as well as we'll also have like a heart rate sensor and a body temperature sensor, because we want to be able to kind of predict overstimulation and kind of let teachers and therapists and caregivers know when the user is getting overstimulated. So which would likely cause like a voice volume increase as well as other signs. So they could look into like this setting, what at this moment is kind of causing this to kind of help navigate like maybe meltdowns or overstimulation, just kind of something like that. So we've kind of grown in our product. So basically our users are parents of neurodivergent children, neurodivergent individuals themselves, the therapists that work with them, as well as the schools. So a lot of maybe like special education, if there's a lot of, individuals with autism that struggle with this. So it's very, we have a broad market.
That's amazing. And I've loved to see and hear a little bit about like the innovation over the past few months, even. It sounds like you've really taken a lot of user feedback. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. So we had a fantastic meeting at one of our local, I'm in Chattanooga, so one of our local big therapy centers, Siskin Children's Institute, and they work with a lot of children with different disabilities. And we had their therapists, we had special education directors, we had some researchers that want to do pilot studies on our product, and we had my engineers with us in this meeting, and we're just like, okay guys, what are the most important features that would help you guys the best? We don't want to build something that you don't need or you're not going to use, or we don't want to miss out on something that you guys do need, because we found that if these Brooks bands are written into an IEP plan at school, the schools will pay for it. So it'll be funded from either the state level or federal funding. And so teachers are really excited about this, because if you think about it, a teacher's how many times during class does a teacher like stop teaching and say, Sammy, lower your voice, or Sammy, you're talking too loud, or Sammy, what's causing this, like what's going on. So to eliminate like classroom disruptions, and then also think about kind of what that does to the child, being called out all the time, it affects their confidence and their self-esteem. And I mean, no one likes to be called out like that. So it kind of has a negative impact on them. So it's kind of evolved by we're creating this dashboard that can be used between the parents or the user and the schools and the therapists to kind of all see the same information, kind of track progress, and kind of we're adding those extra sensors to really be able to let them hone in on what is causing this overstimulation and see if there's a better way for them to plan or to eliminate kind of what's causing that. Just give them more insight. So it's really, we're using these not just like as a tool for the user, but a tool for the people who support them. So we learned about the importance of sharing that dashboard, as well as the sensors like the heart rate sensor, the temperature. And the temperature sensor, I thought you'd want the body temperature, but come to find out they want the external temperature, because like being overheated or feeling overheated or too cold causes overstimulation in a lot of individuals with autism. So they want the external sensor. So just kind of we've evolved in that way, as well as like separating we're not just keeping it just a single wristband, we're going to separate it so there's a microphone close up here to be able to help people that don't speak loud enough be notified of their volume. So I'm sure it'll change after we start these next round of testing, but that's kind of how we've evolved from just a simple wristband that solely detects voice volume and vibrates to this dashboard with the added sensors and kind of the separating pieces.
Wow, that's so amazing that you sort of followed the evolution of what your users' needs were. And I even was talking to my stepmom a little bit about areas where this could be even interesting for her purposes. She works at a salon, and folks are constantly talking louder because of the hair dryers and things like that. So I see so many places where I think this input that we can redirect towards ourselves can be so incredibly helpful. And I also think it's incredibly fascinating that you've done all of this around tech and you do not have a tech background. Could you share a little bit about like how you found yourself in this position and what a lot of times, a lot of us, like when building a company, you deal with the confidence of it. So, like,
Mhm.
what made you feel that like confidence in yourself?
Okay, so my joke is that I never believed I would start a tech company. I couldn't even spell IT until this year, which is pretty accurate. I'm just kind of not a technical person. So, background, I used to be a wedding planner and a floral designer. And I had the envision myself kind of starting my own company doing that. So, this is 100% different, the opposite of what I believed was doing. And I still struggle with kind of self doubt and like, am I really capable of doing this? And I'm starting to learn some simple language. Like I know what a PCB board is, and I know how important the batteries are, and, stuff like that. But I think the confidence has come in like different steps. And kind of my boost, like what gave me the courage to like take that first step was when I found out that I received the grant from UTC last January for what I applied for to turn this idea into a real thing. And at that time, I thought, once I received the grant, they would kind of give me like a to-do list, like, okay, this is what you need to do now, how to go about doing that. And so once I did not receive that or anything, I was like, oh no, like I literally have no idea what to do next. I didn't know. So thankfully, I was guided to a lot of people to kind of point me in directions and connect me to people. So I was connected to an engineer, and he's been fantastic. He's super fantastic. And so he's the one who's actually like turned my idea into a prototype. And so once I received that first prototype, there's really no feeling ever like, oh my gosh, like I invented this and this is my idea is actually a real thing now. It's working. So that gave me like another boost of confidence. And then I started just talking to people. I started doing tons of customer discovery, talking to people that would use it, but also teachers, therapists, just anyone in the entrepreneurial world, just really asking questions. But once I started getting partners, so securing partners who would do pilot studies, who said, "Hey, this sounds like a great product. We would love to test it on our patients, or we'd love to have a partnership with you." That was like another boost of confidence. Like, okay, like it's kind of like I've had to convince myself this is still real, and every kind of validation from an outsider that it would be a player in this game just boosted my confidence. So I'm still I'm still, working my way up. And I think I just won my first pitch competition. So I've been in many pitch competitions, and they've all like drastically gotten better each pitch after pitch, but I still have work to do, but just winning that one. And even having some of my mentors kind of make a LinkedIn post about me, like, this is Megan, like, we're so proud of her. Like, she won, she's come so far just in these past couple of months. But like for other people just to kind of watch me grow, but also know that like, hey, like I'm not stopping. I'm going to keep going, and I keep going. I mean, I sign up for as much as I can possibly handle, and then I show up and I do my best. And I think the next kind of goal I'm reaching for is once I need a lot of funding now. So I'm about to start serious fundraising in January, or maybe I would get an investor. But once I get like that level of funding, like where either someone writes me a big check or I raise a large amount of money, I think I'll be like, oh yes, like this is really, really happening. Even though I know it's really happening. I mean, everything's in place, but everything except all the funds. So I think it continues. And I do think, like, Megan, at what point are you just gonna like feel like you're enough? And I'm like, I don't know. I would think that it's already happened, but it hasn't. So I'm still struggling like with the imposter syndrome. But what I'm learning is that a lot of people do. And founders, a lot of founders are just normal people like us, and they just had an idea and went for it. And they didn't have this background that I thought you needed to be a CEO or a founder or start a company. They're just literally normal people like us who didn't know and just kind of made the decision to move forward. And so that's really what I love about this community so much, is kind of the mindset of the people, because we're all in it together, really. And you don't really meet an enemy. Like, even if it's someone's like your competitor, you still help each other because you're still like, I think you relate on the humanity level. And like, we're both founders, we're both struggling through this. There's somehow like we can help each other. So I just really love this community.
Yeah, it sounds like you have so many mentors and folks around you that are uplifting you and excited about everything that you're creating and building. We did have a question come through in the chat asking about a little bit more about the research. I'm not finding it now. It might have been deleted, but they were looking for, oh, here we go. Danny said, if you could share a little bit more about how the band works. Does it work using acupuncture, or is there a specific, like, I know you mentioned temperature. Could you go into a little bit more of like the
Yeah.
details for us?
So and sorry, I saw someone just make a comment about like our website. We're still, my website was just updated, but it doesn't have all the information completely taken over from my old website. So I apologize if some of those links are not currently working. But yeah, so currently it's a band, and it has 4 different microphones in it, and a vibration, a battery, SD card, and it's picking up voice volume. So we set the decibel level, and then we also set the vibration level. Currently, it's set to the louder you talk, the harder, or not harder, but the stronger the vibration is. So they're set at a couple different levels. So if you're just kind of too loud, it'll just kind of softly vibrate. But if you're really loud, then it'll vibrate stronger, kind of to give you that level. And currently that's all it is. So it's just a wearable wristband, kind of like an Apple Watch. And I get this question a lot, so I'll go ahead and answer it. So why can't this be an app on your Apple Watch? Well, what I've learned in my engineering degree now, the Brixband is constantly checking voice volume every like 1/10 of a second. So it's, constantly running. And the battery is what is kind of like what the biggest struggle is here, because you want a battery long enough. So if it's on the Apple Watch, then it's just going to completely drain your battery. And that doesn't even take away from all the different apps you're running. And the Apple Watch wouldn't be able to differentiate, like picking up a voice volume from other noise or talking on the phone. Like, it wouldn't be able to be consistent. And the Apple Watch, it does pick up background noise, but it's not voice volume. And so it just wouldn't, a current watch wouldn't be able to function optimally with checking like how we need it to work. And then there's also some hardware, something about like the frequency, things are too close together, that just wouldn't work on the Apple Watch. And I don't have the right words to explain how my engineer explains this to me, but hardware wouldn't work either. So we've had to build our own product for this. I'm trying to keep up with some of these questions.
Yeah, we had another question from James, and Danny also said, thank you so much for the explanation. It sounds like it operates like a notification system.
Yeah.
Awesome. James asked, will it change the vibration so you don't get used to it, or different styles?
Yes. So you'd definitely be able to change like the vibration levels. And that's why we want also kind of like some light sensors, if you want to go about that way, multiple notifications. So you have options, but also, if you need to kind of take a break because you don't want to get used to the vibration. So I also think about like on my Apple Watch, I always have it set on vibration, and I've been wearing it for a couple of years, and I've never not noticed a vibration. I mean, it just vibrated now for me to like think about saying that. So that's something that we'll test too when we start these pilot studies in 2026. But like right now, I don't think it'll be too much of an issue. in the beginning.
Yeah, and then we had another really good question about like support groups, and we kind of talked a little bit about like mentor communities, or you spoke to folks who are uplifting you. I was curious if you know of any specific to healthcare and neurodivergent founders.
Let's see. So I've really dove into the entrepreneurial community and the accelerated programs. And that's really how I've kind of come so far. If you could see my roadmap of kind of every month, it's really incredible kind of how far I've come in less than a year. And I really give it to my mentors and the accelerated programs I've done. So for me, what has been the most beneficial is working at a university and being a student, because I am currently getting my MBA, is the I-Core programs. And a lot of people at universities, they don't even know about this. I never heard about it till someone specifically told me about it, and I found out that was an option. But if you're university affiliated, even a student, then you have access to I-Core programs, which is funded from the National Science Foundation. And they really just help you validate your idea. Is this idea worth pursuing? Do you have a market? And if you do, are you building the right product? And let us connect you to kind of all these people that you need, and you get some great mentors. And okay, you guys are strictly where is everyone on this call located?
Well, that's a really good question. We have a few folks from Arizona, a few from over here on the East Coast.
Well, this is going on YouTube though.
Chicago. Yeah, if you drop it in the chat, it'll hide that. Philadelphia, South Carolina. Everyone's located in the United States.
So I won't give like specific, but I-Core is a national program. So it's in like no matter where you're at in the United States, it would apply. But for me, local entrepreneurial centers, so like the Nashville Entrepreneurial Center, they have like a healthcare, a specific one, accelerated program. But really, I've learned everyone has a lot of options. There are tons of accelerator programs, and you don't even have to be in the same state to partake in them. A lot of them are virtual. I've only done virtual ones, except when I got to go to South by Southwest. That was at South by Southwest, which was fantastic. But really just kind of search or talk to your local entrepreneurial center and find out what's available like locally, and then just do a search, because I know there are some great ones. And Vanderbilt, I've made some really great connections with them, and they just started a cohort, which I hope to join. It starts in the spring. Vanderbilt University started a cohort with University of California, San Diego, for specific autism innovation, or no, it's not autism, it's neurodivergent innovation. So I went to a summit at Vanderbilt for the neurodiverse, it was for founders and, people and affiliates. So I made some great connections there. And that's where we met, Steph. Yeah. Okay. And so it was so fantastic. And so now they're making a cohort because they're seeing this huge need. It's really an unmet need, but it's getting a lot of attention. So I would, I can put the name of that I can put the link, I can look up the link and just put that application in there. But I know that's going to be a really great one. So I think it's kind of just searching those out or talking to people in that space who may know of other opportunities. But I highly recommend any like a good accelerator program. And you'll know if it's good just by talking to people that are in it and running it, I think. And I haven't paid $1 to be in an accelerated program yet. So some of them cost a lot of money, but personally, like thankfully I haven't been able, or I haven't been required to pay for any of them. And a lot of them I've won money from doing like pitch competitions, or there are grants available too. So it's not just because you don't have to pay for it doesn't mean it's not good.
I love that. Like even encouraging folks like going for pitch competitions and sharing your experience on how like you don't win every one, but I'm sure every single one shaped you into winning the most recent one.
Yes, they're I'm not a big public speaker, and I'm not. So this is really getting out of my element, getting out of my shell, and just knowing that's just what I'm going to have to do. I'm just going to have to be more, talk more and be more in the spotlight. And so it's just the more I do it, it's great practice. So that's why I keep showing up.
That's amazing, and that's so inspiring, Megan. I feel like you're you're making changes with all of us in here. That's awesome. Coming back to the Brooks brand, because Brooks brand, we had a few questions that came through. John asked if the wristbands will come in their own theme. I know I saw a little bit of it with the watch band, but will people get to choose their own like texture, design, or favorite colors?
Yes, absolutely. So one thing that I've learned is there are a lot of sensitivities. So we want different materials for the bands. We're also going to be able to make it so it's not even a band. So if because some people they can't wear things. So if it needs to like if you need to set it like on your desk, put it in your pocket, kind of, or clip onto your belt, something like that. That's going to be an option, as well as we're going to definitely make customizable bands. So, you know, I want to partner with some good foundations, and as well as, you know, maybe some, like Disney or Marvel, you know, some for maybe for, you know, children that want those like pretty fun bands too. So we'll see. But yes, we'll definitely have lots of customizable options soon, one day.
So exciting. Yeah, yeah. It all takes time. I mean, look at everything you've done in just 1 year. And when we first met, to give y'all some context, when me and Megan first met, I walked up and there was a pitch competition going on, and you said, "Oh, I couldn't do that. Like, I'm not sure if I could. Like, I'm just not good at public." And then now to hear you, you've done a few pitch competitions. Like, it's truly such an inspiring story that you have.
Thank you. Yes. Those take lots of practice. And I admire everyone who even has like the bravery to get up there and just do it. And people make it look so effortless, and it's not.
Yeah,
It's a lot of work.
a lot goes into it. I guess when you were leading up to the pitch competitions, what were the most frequent like doubts or imposter syndrome things that came to mind?
Oh man, I'm a perfectionist. So my PowerPoints are just their own, like its own mountains to climb. But you have just a short amount of time, but just so much to say. But you have to say it like a story, and it has to be intriguing, but you have to hit certain points. So it's so difficult, like to be all these things at the same time and short and to get enough people interested. So I mean, I just go over and over the storyline. I've changed it so many times. And then it comes down to, well, I keep changing it. So I haven't had time to memorize it. And it's just one of those things that, and I haven't quite got down my pitch. I keep changing it because I'm like, well, I need to change this, or this is a different audience. So pitches, they're just hard. I really respect those people that, you know, you watch them and you're like, that was so good. And I'm still waiting on my approval for my own pitch to say, that was great, Megan.
It's coming. I feel it in my bones. I'm curious, you know, we talked about neurodivergence and specific to maybe even pitch competitions. How have you seen your ADHD show up both as maybe a challenge, but also maybe as a strength?
Yeah, so I've just crazy ADHD. I've been diagnosed multiple times. Like there's no doubt. So it's so example for pitches. So, you know, I'll just be all over the place, and then I'll want to like start over. So I've started over so many times, my PowerPoint, my pitch, and kind of I struggle with that level of perfectionism. So having to acknowledge or remember like I'm trying to be perfectionist, and that doesn't get me anywhere. And, you know, I'm an over explainer, and I don't need to do that. Like, I don't need to give every detail in this pitch or on this PowerPoint or in this document. And also, like, I need to block out time. I need to set a timer for, okay, I'm going to work on this for 1 hour, not for 8 hours consistently, like all day work on this, you know, because I will. And there's that many things I could change about it or work on, or also dive into like the research. I'm like, okay, well, because a lot of it, you're coming up with numbers and population and market size, and that's its own beast because it could be so many different things. And so then I just go into like data heavy or research heavy mode. And there's just being like a new company and kind of a new field, there's just so many possibilities. So being able to be like focused in on, okay, Megan, this is what we're looking for. This is actually our value proposition for this is like we're working on version 1. And that's something my mentors consistently keep coming back to. Like, because I'll be like, okay, well, we can do this version and can do this and this, and like this will hit these people. And they're like, Megan, we're working on version 1. Version 1, the simplest version. We're going to get this, out to the people, tested, and then we'll talk about that. But now I'm wanting to, file a new patent and update this, and, because it could do this. So I'm a big picture thinker, but being able to choose to like, okay, Megan, like, let's really, really focus in on what are our goals? What are we trying to accomplish now? What can I do? How can I do these like boring tasks like my finances for this or, my organization in the file folders that they need to be so I can find my information that I need. And so one thing that I've learned is I keep getting new data or redoing numbers or something like that. And so I would lose track of, is this my most recent one or is this one? So that now I just date everything and the title. So therefore I can see like, but that's just kind of workarounds for me. But also, because I do work a full-time job at UTC, which is separate from this, and I am a single mom. And I think having ADHD is a blessing here because I can do multiple things and think about multiple things at the same time and just really use my different levels of thinking or my different ways of thinking to like solve these problems or, just juggle all these balls at the same time. I don't think a lot of people are like, Megan, how do you do it? How do you do it? And I'm just like, I don't know, but I just do it. But currently right now, my biggest struggle is my memory, remembering all these conversations I'm having. And so I've learned how important it is for me to take notes, to write everything down, to put it in an email, to follow up with the emails, put it on my calendar, because things that I don't think I would forget, I just completely forget. So I'm working with different various AI tools for like my meeting notes and stuff, because that's really what's keeping me up to date with like what I'm doing. Otherwise it's too much for me to keep inside my head.
Yeah, I can imagine. And like us ADHDers, we've constantly got like a new influx of information every time we talk to someone new that makes us want to do something a little bit differently. And so following that chase, it sounds like has been interesting yet exciting.
Yeah, yes, exciting, very.
Yeah, it seems like I've got Casio in the comments who relates to your experience in having 10 new paths at the same time. Rachel mentioned getting a focus MVP as a founder or product owner is hard for anyone, let alone neurodivergent folks. Yeah, and Casio was wondering if you might be able to enlist or list some sites or pitch competitions that you really enjoyed.
Okay, enjoyed. That's a strong word. I'm just kidding. My being a student and staff at the university, I've been able to partake in some pitch competitions at the university, and I didn't feel bad beating the students. I'm just kidding. But so those were a lot of fun because I know a lot of people just at my local university, and I've really enjoyed the pitch competitions with iCore, just because I've been in 2 different accelerator programs with them, and I've gotten to know the instructors and the mentors around it so well. And so to hear their honest feedback, or they're the ones practicing with me and then giving me their feedback, and also, just saying how, Megan, you've come so far. I mean, I constantly hear that, which I'm like, okay, just don't tell me how bad I was in the beginning. But so I really enjoy doing them where I'm not just a stranger and like I know people, because their feedback is just more meaningful, I think. And it's just, I like those connections too. So I would say my university ones and the iCore pitches have been the most fun. I really wanted to apply for the pitch competition at South by Southwest because just kind of the audience, and they're so big, but I missed the deadline. But I don't think I would have been ready for that yet, but hopefully one day, maybe next year.
Oh, that's so exciting. Well, we're sending you the best of luck in next year.
Thank you.
Yeah. We had a question from Danny around like ADHD
Mhm.
related struggles in building a business. And he's curious kind of how do you stay big picture when there are sort of like these smaller details or the opportunity to overthink every detail? Like what is I guess more, what is the specific language you use to kind of pull yourself back up into the cloud?
I think because everything's going so fast, like I don't have the time to like spend obsessing over these small details. And I've had to bring in some people to help me. So right now I only have like contract workers, but I'm paying someone right now to do my data analytics and to build like my Airtable forms and collect like put the data in so then I can read the data and do something with it because that's been on my that was on my to-do list for months. And I was like, okay, I don't have time to like sit down and just do that executive functioning to do that. And so hiring someone to do that was just a game changer. And I think just really signing up for things that have a deadline or it's putting them on the calendar. And then it's like, okay, well, this is due then. So, I'm going to work on it as much as I can. And then they get whatever I have completed. So I don't really have time to, overly think.
Yeah, that pace keeps you moving, keeps the gears turning. It sounds like we have some questions back about the Brooks band and what types of materials have been used. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So right now we just have a silicone band and my engineer, he actually makes the casing, like the house for it with his 3D printer, which is just so amazing of the things that they can do with those these days. And starting in January, I have a grad assistant. I just hired a grad assistant in the College of Engineering at UTC. So to really like make the next version of the Brooks band and split it up. And so they have more, I don't even know what the right word is, but like machines that make more things with more materials. So they are going to be able, so we're going to be able to do that. And it's really exciting because this is how untechnical I am, but I went and toured a local manufacturing plant like on my lunch break. Like I chose to do this and we did a walkthrough. He showed me how everything worked because it might be an opportunity for us to kind of partner and because he can customize like how his machines make things. So potentially like I could do my manufacturing in Chattanooga, which would be fantastic. But I would just remember telling him like never in a million years would I think that I would choose to go tour a manufacturing plant and that would just never be on my calendar like as something I wanted to do. So
Well, something I mentioned was in the question was that actually Microsoft has experimented with different things like using fabric in their Surface laptops. And I just, different sensory things that aren't compared to traditional tech, I think would be a fascinating approach if
yeah,
you were to
that's a
consider
great. Thank you for that. I'd love to look more into kind of what they're using because that's a huge thing. And I did connect with this lady in California who makes clothing. She makes it specifically for individuals with autism that have a lot of sensitivities. But one day, hopefully soon, we're going to partner and she'll make like some clothing for us to kind of embed the kind of like the sensors. So we could, that could be an option. But to have multiple like versions and fabrics or materials just to kind of fit everyone's, preferences and needs. I think that's like key to, you know, using this or, 'cause if people aren't going to wear it or use it, then it's not.
it sounds like a great product, by the
Yeah.
way.
Well, thank you.
I saw pictures of it on the internet. I think it's
Oh, thank you.
awesome. The little pod, and I imagine it could probably shrink or probably be clipped
Hmm.
on or in the
Hmm.
future, as you were saying. Sorry.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, Stephen. All right, so I've got one last question to round us out this evening together, and it is around careers. Because you work with so many new students, what patterns are you seeing amongst neurodivergent careers in the past that those students take?
So I'm seeing, well, one thing that I'm seeing and I'm super excited about is that more companies are becoming aware of like neurodivergent needs in the workplace and students. So I'm super excited about that. And also, I'm seeing more students kind of go the entrepreneurial route and kind of start in college or have a plan to start, their own startup after college. And I'm really excited about this because that's something like I would have wanted to do in college. I just would not have had the courage or I wouldn't have been willing to take that risk at that time. And so I think I'm seeing more students kind of seeing the success of younger individuals with startups and younger entrepreneurs being successful. And they are choosing to, take that risk in college and choose like, okay, I'm going to do my own business. And I'm really excited because I am seeing more of that. And I'm seeing more of the community coming into the universities to kind of help and kind of be a bridge between like students and kind of making that shift instead of it just, okay, you're a student and then you're a worker, kind of like commingling. And so there's a lot of like startups that are using student interns so that are interested in that to kind of come work for them, to kind of show them the ways and, get a real picture of what's going on. And so there's a lot more on the university side. That's kind of something that I feel like the universities would kind of steer away from, like, okay, you don't want to go work for a startup, you're not going to get real experience. But now it's like being encouraged, and it's truly, I think it's being truly valued, which is really exciting because it's, if someone's going to be, have a startup, it would be great for them to work for one.
Yeah, it's a great experience, like to just see how people are adapting and growing and evolving and trying their best every single product iteration. Like I'm sure you've seen that with the Porks brand and growing your team. One last question for you. So what do you hope folks remember from this conversation?
I really hope that if you guys could remember one thing, it's that you don't have to have a plan to get started. You don't have to have the answers to get started. And it's really, when it comes down to it, I think it's just having the courage to believe in yourself and to validate yourself and to take that first step. And what I'm learning, and I'm just trusting more and more because it's just continuously happening. Like every step I take, I don't know the answers. I don't know where to find them. I don't know where I'm going to get the money, but it just like I'm met, like provided those answers or, what I need to continue on this path. It's kind of like, it's very clear to me, this is my path right now. And, the right people, the right opportunities just keep showing up. And I think it's now that I'm learning, I think people keep showing up for me because I keep showing up. And so if you keep on this path and keep showing up for yourself, that's when other people show up for you. So I would say you don't have to have the answers. You find the answers. Just have the questions.
Oh, Megan, I love that. I love your inspiration. I love your excitement to share all of your learnings. And it has just been so grateful, so amazing to have you on here. We're so grateful to share some of your energy with us.
Well, yeah, thank you
So
guys for having me. And I'm so happy. And if anyone wants to connect with me afterwards or, anytime, just reach out. I'm someone you can definitely get a hold of.
yes, well, thank you so much, Megan. I hope you have an amazing rest of your night, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.